All right, guys, I have a special gift for you today, a special guest. His name is Rob Shindler. How are you?
Hi, Trace. How are you doing?
Good. And I'm going to tell our audience a little bit about you. Our listeners are interested in stories like yours. So,
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
you're so welcome. We love having guests like you. You are married. You have three children, two twins and a younger son. Your one of your twins actually has a learning disability, and this is where the book began. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Awesome. Okay, and a little more about you. You're a lawyer in Chicago, and so writing isn't your first profession.
That's right.
Um, and you were also awarded a Volunteer Tutor of the Year award.
The
That's really
highlight of the year so far was last Friday night. It was really special, and my whole family was there, and my son Oliver, who we'll be talking about, actually surprised me by getting up and making a speech in front of a few hundred people, which is daunting enough for an adult, let alone a
right.
15-year-old kid who has some learning issues. And he brought the house down and brought out a whole lot of tears, especially in his father.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, that's amazing that he has the inspiration to be able to do that from you and his mom. Okay, so let's talk about the book and why you actually wrote the book. It's called Hot Dogs and Hamburgers, and it's Unlocking Life's Potential by Inspiring Literacy at Any Age.
What happened was, and I'll tell you a little bit about the title in a little bit, because a lot of people who buy the book or hear about the book want to know how the heck did I come up with the title of Hot Dogs and Hamburgers. But when I share the story with you, it's pretty beautiful.
Uh-huh.
What happened was my wife and I had twins, and after a few years of battling infertility, which is a whole nother story and a whole nother book. It took us a few years to make our beautiful babies, but after they were born, they're a boy and a girl, Isabella and Oliver. And in preschool, what happened was after a few weeks, Miss Jennifer, his preschool teacher, called us in for a meeting and said that she was recognizing some traits of a learning disability, and he wasn't keeping up with his classmates, and he was having difficult time with not only the alphabet but with other tasks. And as a dad, I was in absolute, complete denial.
Right.
I put one hand over my eyes and one hand over my ear, and I tried to close the other ear, and I didn't want to hear anything about my little boy Oliver not being absolutely perfect, because when you tell a dad that there's something wrong with his kid, what you're basically telling that dad is there's something wrong with him himself, because obviously his son must be perfect.
Sure.
But he wasn't perfect, and obviously nobody is. But I just couldn't get my hands around the fact that my son had this learning disability and had the disability to the degree that he had. So for the next couple years, I sort of, as embarrassing as this is to admit, I sort of vanished on my kid, and not in a physical sense by any means. I did, all the little league and was funny daddy and made all the jokes around the house. But when it came to his education, I didn't know how to deal with the situation. So when you said about his mom earlier on, that's exactly who was driving the ship and who was handling all of those issues. And if it wasn't for her, he wouldn't be where he is today. But anyways, I sort of allowed my wife and his teachers to deal with the education issues, only because I had no idea how to deal with them myself. From a patient standpoint, from a teaching standpoint, I just didn't know how to deal with the problem, so I chose to basically not.
Wow. Okay. Well, I have a feeling that you're not alone in that, but um, what did you do to turn that around, and what what caused was the catalyst to you changing your ways about
The catalyst was a young kid by the name of Jordan. And Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
we speak about Jordan, I believe, in chapter 3. But Jordan was, I owe Jordan so much because Jordan was the little boy on his Little League team
Mm-hmm.
who, during a game and during a dispute with my kid, yelled out, "Well, at least I'm not in special ed, retard."
Wow.
And I don't know. It was you know the saying, something hits you like a ton of bricks.
Mm-hmm.
That comment to my little boy hit me like a ton of bricks, and as cliche as it may sound, it got me out of neutral and kicked me into fourth gear, and I realized, oh my goodness, my son is starting the fifth grade and he reads at a first grader's level, and I am sitting on the sidelines and allowing everyone else to do the work. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I did is I got my butt up off the sidelines, and I came up with an idea that although I didn't know how to teach him how to read, if I can learn how to teach someone to read, then maybe I would be able to transform those techniques into helping my own little boy. And so what I did was I took a seminar at a literacy center in Chicago, which is called Literacy Chicago, and which has become basically my second home. One of my favorite places besides my house with my wife and my kids to be at during the week. I became certified as a reading tutor. I started tutoring one adult, and which
Mm-hmm.
grew into two and three, and my class size kept growing and growing, and I found my passion, which was being able to help someone learn to read, and what I thought wasn't possible became possible right before my very eyes. And the techniques that I learned teaching these adult strangers, I brought home and I used to help Oliver. And I'm proud to say that with not only my help, but with a village. You know how they say it takes a village.
Right.
It takes a village raising a kid, especially a kid with some learning issues. So from his mom to his teachers to the tutors at school, he is now a sophomore in high school, and he reads at grade level, and he's doing very, very well. He's working very hard, but I'm so proud of him. And my biggest achievements, besides making my kids and finding my wife, and I know those are all the right buzzwords to say, but honest to goodness, it's how I feel, is helping my son learn to overcome the obstacle of not knowing how to read.
Wow, that's fantastic. You are an amazing role model for any parent out there, that feels overwhelmed with something like that. There are so many parents out there that are dealing with the exact same issues you are. Thank you so much. That's great. You not only learned how to help your son reach his potential, you're helping others. So let's talk about the adult literacy programs that you're working with, and an example maybe of someone you're working with and how people judge them so much for not being able to read, but they're wonderful, wonderful people.
Well, when you not being able to read is a disability,
Mm-hmm.
and it's comparable to just so many other disabilities out there. Problem is, it's not only a hidden disability from our society, but these folks that suffer from not being able to read become almost professional actors, because they learn how to make mile markers on the street because they can't read the street signs, or
Wow.
they can't read the medicine bottles, or basically what they do is they set up like a treasure map, even in their house, even in their households. They'll set up a treasure map with little clues on certain things because they can't read things that we take so for granted on a daily basis.
Right.
If you were to ask the average citizen, describe to me what an adult illiterate is, for the most part, the answer, as incorrect as it is, and as sad as it makes me feel, the answer would be, well, it's traditionally African American. It's traditionally someone who is not smart, who is unmotivated, who is lazy, and all of those adjectives are completely false, because the people that I run into for the last number of years, they're African American, they're white, they're Hispanic, they're Asian. In other words, there's a rainbow of people
Wow.
that can't read for whatever reason, whether it's attributable to a learning disability, or whether it's just because reading kind of passed them by when they were kids. They didn't have the proper people surrounding them. They didn't have the proper educational process. For whatever reason, they missed their chance, and really all they're looking for right now is that opportunity to find dignity and find self-respect and find the ability to read so they can better their lives. And as I say in my book, some of the folks that I meet every day that I'm tutoring are kind and sweet and wonderful and funny. I mean, and eloquent. But the most important part is they're funny. I mean, they just, all they want to do is to be given a chance to be treated with respect, because when they are at work and someone finds out that they can't read, or if they're on the train or the bus or in a restaurant and someone finds out they can't read, they're discovered, and their disability is discovered, and people start to treat them differently. So statistics, people are always interested in statistics, whether it be about a learning disability or about illiteracy or about a disease. What is the statistics? And so I could impress you by telling you all my knowledge of the statistics, how X amount of people out of 7 suffer from low literacy levels, or how 14 million people in the United States read lower than a fourth grader. But those statistics mean nothing, because the bottom line is the answer to the question should be 0. In other words, there should be not one person on our planet that doesn't have the ability or the luxury of learning to read, knowing how to read. And when I say luxury, it's something that you and I take completely for granted, and I did. I completely took it for granted until it found its way into my own backyard with my little boy. And it's a luxury to these folks to be able to learn to read.